If you're looking to purchase a sump pump, you should first know the different features available, because these come in many variations, and the one that you select heavily depends on the application in which it's going to be used. So I'm going to go over the features now, and if you're looking to make a purchase, you'll know what you're buying. A manual sump pump is activated and deactivated by manually plugging the power cord into an electrical outlet. These pumps are mostly used for manually dewatering basements, pools, and similar applications. These aren't common for using in sump basins, but you can couple this with a piggyback switch to allow for automatic operation if you wanted to. In short, a manual sump pump must be turned on and off manually. An automatic sump pump has a switch or float wired to the pump that activates the pump when water reaches a certain height, and turns the pump off when the sump pump has drained the water. All sump pump switches can be divided into piggyback switches or regular switches. A piggyback plug is one that features prongs on one side and an additional outlet on the other. This piggyback type connector plugs into the electrical outlet first, while the sump pump itself is plugged into the piggyback outlet. This option allows running the sump pump in automatic mode. When a piggyback isn't used and the pump is plugged directly into the electrical outlet, it runs in manual mode and can be used for manual dewatering. The benefit of these is that you can unplug the cords from the wall, separate them, and plug the pump directly into the outlet without the switch, allowing you to test the pump by itself. The other switch options are regular switches, which come in variations, sometimes called integral, built-in, directly wired, tethered, electronic, or just vertical switches. A vertical mechanical float is a plastic or foam float that moves straight up on a rod as water enters to activate the pump. When the float goes to the bottom, it pulls the rod down to turn off the pump. Since this float only moves straight up and down, it can operate in a very narrow sump pit, and when you're working with a very narrow sump pit, it's going to fill up with liquid more quickly, so this is going to be on and off all the time, which kind of means there's less cool-off time between cycles. So this is a vertical switch, but tethered and wide-angle switches flow at an angle when water enters the basin to activate the pump. It'll go up just like this. And once the pump turns on when the bulb is nearly straight up and turns off when it's straight down. Electronic or diaphragm switches usually use a combination of metal probes to feel the water. When water touches the on probe, the switch activates, and when water no longer touches the off probe, it turns off. An advantage to having no moving parts means there's nothing that can get stuck. This means the pump is not likely to fail to start or stop because of some obstructions in the basin. But if your groundwater contains a lot of calcium or other contaminants, it's possible for those to collect in the probes and coat them. This can mean that your probes won't feel the water and turn on, so you may want to clean the electric probes periodically. Backup systems are components used to protect against flooding caused by power outages or sump pump failure. And your backup systems can be categorized into two areas, which is water-powered or battery backup systems. Water-powered sump pumps can be installed as an addition to the existing electronically powered sump pump to remove the sump water in the event of power outages. Select models also include a secondary backup sump pump. And a sump pump battery backup system is an external high-capacity 12-volt battery used to provide electricity to the pump during power outages. Select models include a secondary backup sump pump as well. Most of the residential models are 115 volts, with a few 230 volt exceptions, and all include a standard electrical plug. If you're using one that's over 115 volts, it's probably for an industrial or a commercial application, and select models must be hardwired. So more horsepower can mean a few things. The water moves out more quickly, it may cost a little more to operate as it usually uses more electricity, and you may need a larger discharge pipe to handle the increased flow of water. The diameter of the sump basin is important when choosing a sump pump because the switch you choose depends on the basin's diameter. So measure the inside diameter of your sump pit at its narrowest point, down in the area where the pump will operate. It's shown by the red arrow in the picture here. So a basin must be large enough so that a wide-angle switch can operate freely without getting stuck. Because if it does get stuck on the wall, then it'll be caught up here and it won't turn off. And if it gets stuck down here, then the water will just go above it and it won't turn on. And that's where you get a lot of problems. And if you're installing a new sump pump where there was none before, it's recommended to cut out a large basin. Power cord length is an important factor since submersible sump pumps must be plugged directly into the receptacle without using an extension cord. This safety measure is designated to protect against short circuits and electrical shocks. The most popular length cords that are purchased are 10 feet and 25 feet, but you can buy up to a 70-foot length cord for applications that need it. Cast iron housing is by far the most used and available, mostly for cost reasons, and they're also very durable. Aluminum housing pumps cost a little more, and it's because they have better heat dissipation qualities, and it protects against the motor when the pump works very hard and creates a lot of heat. Plastic pumps cost less, but they don't respond as well when the pump creates a lot of heat. So I wouldn't recommend doing that, but if you think it's fine for your system, then go ahead and purchase that. The head pressure of a pump describes the maximum height that the pump will move water. For instance, a sump pump with a 15-foot max head, also called a shutoff head, will pump water up to 15 feet before it completely loses flow. Each pump has a characteristic known as pump curve, which indicates how much water in GPM the pump can discharge at a given height, which is feet of head. In this example, we estimate 230 feet of total dynamic head, and we're like a 10-gallon pump so that we can look at the chart. This chart should be consulted carefully when selecting a sump pump, since it's important for the pump to keep up with the rate of rising water during raining or flooding. If we're looking for a 10 gallons per minute pump with 230 feet of dynamic head, we'll find that a 1 HP pump will suffice, as you can see here. So if you're looking to purchase a sump pump, just make sure you consider some of the features I discussed here. And if you have any further questions about pumps we have in our inventory, you can email us or contact us through our phone, or even just tweet at us if you want, or you can comment below. And if you like the video, then press like and subscribe to our channel, because I'm going to come out with a lot more videos like this.